Hello, and thanks for clicking on this video. So, the drama, back for you. What can I say about it? I can say that it's definitely worth watching. I can also say that if you have seen it, I really, 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 really want your feedback on my opinion about the ending of the drama. So, it's spoilers for anybody that has not seen it because I have to go into details. So, if you don't want to know and you haven't seen the drama yet, go watch it and come back to this. If you have seen it, please either watch the whole video or skip to where I talk about the ending and give me some feedback. So, let's start at the beginning. Let's see. First of all, it is one of those dramas where it's like a detective story, so like each episode is focusing on a different case, which means the typical. It's like single episode arcs of stories, which means each episode you get into the life of side characters and it focuses on that, and you actually almost don't see the main characters at all because of the way this story is laid out, which was getting annoying because some of the stories, yeah, they were interesting. For some reason, like, I don't know if it was just because it was going on too long, I was getting less interested, or if it really was that some of these stories, they were getting weirder as they went. Weirder and more. What? I don't know which one that is, but either way, that is always, I've said it in other videos, that's always been my biggest problem with, like, detective stories. I like detective stories, but I've always had this problem with the arc thing where, like, the more you focus on the side characters, support characters, completely irrelevant characters aside from this tiny little arc, the more I'm like, why am I watching this drama again? What do you mean, main characters? Where are they? So that was the one thing I didn't like, aside from, we get back to it with spoilers. But Back for You was actually super creative and super interesting otherwise because of the layout. A little bit of a spoiler is the main character girl. I did not realize for how much of this drama she was going to remain in a coma. So, like, this is definitely the male lead centered, kind of, because of the support character arcs. Even he actually isn't in it much. You see him at the beginning and you see him at the end of the episodes, and there's brief, tiny flashes of him in between. But for the most part, you don't see even him except at the very beginning and very end of the episode. So I'm like, main characters? um, but this one is unique because of the like a weird beginning that happens, and then she comes out of nowhere and goes into a coma, and the whole thing is centered on him literally reading comic books that like they're blank until all of a sudden it changes and a story appears and he's reading the stories, and these cases are actually based on real life. He figures out real life cases that are happening like right now for him. So of course throughout the entire drama he's trying to figure out where, how on earth she knows these things, why, who is she, where does she come from, how does she know these things. But like the really interesting part of it is the way that the comic books over exaggerate and dramatize things and like fantasize them into like completely unrealistic. That would never happen. So me as the viewer ends up kind of being like Alai, the main guy, where I'm watching the story and I'm going, okay, how do you translate this into reality? Like, this is so fanciful. What would this actually look like if it was real? How do you twist this around to be real? Like, what could actually be going on here? And it's fun because you, as the viewer, at least me as the viewer, I'm watching it and I'm feeling like a detective because I'm trying to root out the truth of this case, what actually happened, versus the way that she fancified it in the comic. So I mean, that was really interesting and unique and fun. It was a really fun aspect of this drama. Also, like I say, I didn't expect her to be in a coma for so long. And then, of course, even more of a spoiler, when she wakes up, of course, she has memory loss and can't remember what's going on. So that made it go even longer before you find out what's actually going on. But I liked that about it because, like, I'm a girl that is extremely attracted to men, and I really like watching guys on the screen, so there's nothing wrong with female oriented stories. There's literally nothing wrong with them. I just don't prefer them because I don't find girls anywhere near as interesting as guys. And I like watching them. I can't help it. So of course I like the ones that are centered on the guys. I find them more interesting to watch and get to know, etc. than girls. I can't help it. So this one is a male oriented with him, and he's cute. And his personality, I really liked his character. But okay, the unique aspect of it was all of that. So like it was really interesting and I liked it. And this is probably gonna be a super short video because whatever, I don't need to go into detail. Um, but the one thing the other thing about the cases is that, like I say, they were fantasized, dramatized. The further it went, the kind of less it felt that was true. The fancified was real. So, like, they probably did that on purpose, or maybe they did that on purpose. I'm not sure. But now we're going to get into the very ending of this drama, so if you don't want to know exactly how it ends, the details of how it ends, then you're going to have to stop here. But if you've seen it, I want to know your opinion, so please keep watching. The thing that I didn't like about this drama, the biggest thing I didn't like was the ending. Because when she goes back to the future and she's like, book signing and whatnot, the thing is, every single story in this one, every single one of them was real. She fancified it, but it was real. It actually happened. Except for Alai. For Luna and Alai. Their story, the entirety of this drama, the whole her going back in time, being with Alai, that is a case that should have been fantasized. Okay, so where's the real version of it? Given the way that Luna ends up meeting the guy that looks like Alai, I should say, at the ending, the whole interaction between them, I don't care if he had a lighter. It didn't say lie on it. And all of the rest of this stuff, just their dialogue and everything about it, I'm like, this doesn't feel like the real version of the fancified comic. This feels like a completely different story. Like, he does not know her yet. They have not been through anything yet. There is no story. This is literally the first time that they're meeting. They are about to start a story. Which would be fine, except that what does that do to Alai? This guy that she meets is not Alai. So Alai is literally just a made-up character in her story. There is nothing real about him. He doesn't exist in reality. That is a letdown to me. That's the way I understood it. That's the way I took it. Given how they were talking and what they were saying and how they were interaction and everything, there was no hint. I was looking for it. I could not find a hint of this actually being the real Alai, that Alai is here, and this, so that I could spot the fantasized and then pick out the real. There was no real. It was all fantasy. There was nothing real about it. That's how I took it, and that was an extreme disappointment to me. For one thing, because I absolutely loved Alai, I do not like the idea that he's just a completely made-up character fantasized in her head. He's not real in the slightest. I don't like that at all, especially when she fell in love with him. So is the author in love with the made-up character? So she meets this guy that looks like her made-up character, and now she's going to be projecting everything onto him? That's not fair to that real person. That's kind of disturbing. If she's going to be, like, for one thing, in love with a character, for another thing, in love with a character she made up, for another thing, projecting that character onto somebody. You can't do that. That real guy is a real guy. You have to love him or don't go anywhere near him. You can't project your whatever onto somebody. That's messed up on so many levels. So if that's what's happening, that was an extreme letdown and actually kind of destroys the entire story. So if you've seen it, what did you think of that? Could you spot the reality in the fantasy? Did I just fail to see it? How did you take that conversation? Was it a fancified comic based in reality? Or were they completely separate? There's the fancified comic of Alai, and here's a real person she meets that happens to look like him but has literally nothing to do with him. How did you take it if you watched it? Because they did such an incredibly good job, in my opinion. It's only 12 episodes long. They did such a good job of taking a real, this is how something happened, and then fantasizing it, and connecting it so well. Like every aspect of the fantasized you could see in a real based reality. And it was really interesting looking at the two and picking out what was real and how it was real and how you could fantasize that into something so fanciful. It was so cool. Why did they not do that with the main big overarching like actual ally of the story? Why did they not do that? That like dropped the ball insanely badly. It was an extreme letdown because like that would have been the pinnacle. That would have been the final, should have been, would have been, could have been. But given the way I took it, it doesn't look like it was real. They disconnected it, made it something completely different. I'm like, why? That doesn't, huh? What happened? Okay, so that's my really short video. I'm back for you. I still think you should go and watch it if you haven't already. And if you have, like, I really want to know what your opinion about the ending was. How do you take it and why? Explain to me, because I want to make it work. Because I really liked this drama otherwise. It was uniquely, interestingly done. Except the ending. So let me know. And that's it for this one. Bye.